Well, all right. Today we're focusing on making inferences. And inferences are conclusions that were reached on the basis of evidence and reasoning. There's two important parts to that. They're conclusions that are based on evidence, that means things we see or read, and facts. And then reasoning, that means our thinking. And usually that involves taking in some prior knowledge, some background knowledge that we might have. So let's test this out. Let's make an inference about a picture. So here we see a picture. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look for evidence or facts that we can see about this picture. Take a moment and just look at this picture and see what you notice, what facts you can see. Here are some things I can see. I see a boat back here. I see some yellow lines here that make me think this is a road, and that's kind of a mini inference. And I see that that road is covered in water. I can see these people are walking through water. I can see a few of these people are wearing these yellow vests. That person, this person, and this person. And speaking of this person, I can see that this lady is carrying this young girl here. So now I'm starting to use that evidence of what I see, those facts, what I see, to make some inferences, to use my reasoning now to see what's going on in this picture. Take a moment and see if you can use the facts that we just looked at to make an inference about this picture. What is going on in this picture using the evidence and the reasoning you see. My inference is that there has been some sort of flood and there's been a group of people, especially this young girl, who may have needed to be rescued. And by the look on her face, she looks a little cold, so maybe she's been stuck somewhere for a while. Maybe this flooding affected her home. And I'm making an inference, not really a guess, that these people in these yellow vests are working to help rescue people possibly from trouble caused by this flooding. So that's it. That's basically what an inference is. And often inferences happen in our brains so fast we don't realize they're happening, especially with a picture like this. But when we're reading, sometimes we forget to make those inferences. Sometimes we miss things, but there is a lot in a text to make an inference about. In the next part of this video, that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to look at Julie fights for survival, what we read in the past two lessons, and we're going to make some inferences. So inferences, again, are things we come to through reasoning and evidence. So when we're reading, that evidence is often going to be in the form of pictures or in the form of words. And I've gone through this story that we've already read about Julie's fight for survival and made some inferences that we could make together. The first one I made is right up here in paragraph 3. I looked at paragraph 3 and I made some inferences looking at what it says there in paragraph 3. Feeling better, she slid back in her sleeping skin. I guess, she said to herself, that the sun's been up so long I've forgotten the sounds of night. So that the sun has been up so long I've forgotten the sounds of night. I had to bring in some background knowledge when I was thinking about this, and some background knowledge I have is that way up in the northern parts of the world, like the Arctic where this story is set, sometimes in the summer the sun does not go down at all. And she's saying the sun has been up so long I've forgotten the sounds of night. So I'm inferring that she has been living in the summer and now it's starting to transition, and because she's been living in the summer she forgot what it sounds like at night, and that's where this is coming from, and now she's moving into the winter. So that makes me make an inference on the setting and the time period of the story. Maybe it's happening right around the fall time in the Arctic. Keeping going in the story, I was looking at paragraph 12 when I made another inference. In paragraph 12 it says, as she carefully searched the ground, she began to think about Seal Camp. The old Eskimos were scientists, too. So think about what inference this information, these sentences might make you make. what conclusions you might come to. As she carefully searched the ground, she began to think about SEAL Camp. I really started thinking about that SEAL Camp. We know that Julie has run away. That's some background knowledge we have. So now I'm making an inference that she ran away from this place that was maybe called SEAL Camp. So I'm making an inference, making a conclusion based on what I know, that she ran away from this place called SEAL Camp. And maybe because she says the old Eskimos were scientists too, that there were people living there and they were scientists. Well, that's the conclusion I come to just from reading this sentence. I'm making an inference. Continuing on, towards the end of the story, there's another inference I made, looking at paragraph 20, the last paragraph of this story right here. Reaching Point Hope seemed less important now that she had come to truly understand the value of her ulu and needles. If she missed the boat, she could live well until another year. Her voice rang out happily as she sang and followed the birds and her compass. So look at this with me, this part of this paragraph. Reaching Point Hope seemed less important. If she missed the boat, oops, I made a mistake there. If she missed the boat, she could live well until another year. So what conclusion can we make about Julie and what's going on at this point in the story? What's been going on? So take a second and think. What conclusion would you come to? What inference would you come to because of this right here? Reaching Point Hope seemed less important. If she missed the boat, she could live well until another year. One thing that I can conclude right away is that when she ran away, maybe she was headed towards this place, Point Hope. It's kind of an obvious inference to make. Maybe it seemed important to her in the beginning, but now it is less important. She doesn't need to get there. And she doesn't need to get there, it says in the text, because she's now understands the value of her tools, her ulu, her knife, and her needles. She can survive on her own. And that's what she says here. She could live well until another year. Another inference I can make is that at this point Hope, there was a boat, and that maybe she was hoping to get on that boat, but that boat maybe comes again every year. That's why she says living another year. There's a boat that comes every year to get her somewhere, and that's where she's running away to. So just from this paragraph, I could come to a lot of conclusions about Julie and her travels. So when you're reading today, when you're reading your own story, make sure you're noting the parts that you need to make inferences on. Maybe if there's a part you're confused about, that's the part where you might need to make an inference. You might need to come to a conclusion based on evidence you've seen before and some of your own prior knowledge and your reasoning, your thinking. Well, that's all for today. Thank you.